Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the All We Do Is Talk podcast. We are here for our 2022 NBA draft mock. Drafts on Thursday. Neither one of our teams really have a bunch of picks involved in this, so we aren't really too concerned about it from that standpoint. But hey, the rest of the league is
not a lot of generational talents
that'll come next year. Yeah. That'll come next year. But for this year, still plenty of talented guys who are going to come into the league and hopefully become all-star caliber players. This year, the Magic won the draft lottery. They'll be picking number one overall. It's the first time they've picked one since Dwight.
Yeah.
That's a good run, not having to pick number one overall. Give them credit. I guess we'll be going back and forth between our picks. I'll have the odds, Isaiah will have the evens, and we'll just work our way down the list and see who goes.
Do the lottery, yep. And then we'll talk about needs and positional value.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about all that.
All good. All right, with the first pick in the 2022 NBA draft, it will be the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic have needs pretty much all over the roster except for guard, where they have a bunch of them.
They have a bunch of bigs
is
too.
Paid. Bamba's a free agent. Yeah. Robin Lopez is a free agent. They technically have Bol Bol, who's also a free agent. So all of their bigs are free agents. So,
with the exception of the best one. Luckily, they signed up Wendell Carter.
Yeah, Wendell Carter, and you think maybe, possibly, Jonathan Isaac's gonna walk through the door and play some basketball.
They have wings.
So the Magic do have a lot of investments on the roster and high draft picks, but they really haven't had anybody to come step up and be that star.
Who would you say are their untouchables? So it'd be.
I don't think they have a single one. I don't think they have a single guy who should be untouchable.
I'd say Wagner.
If you could turn Wagner into a star caliber player, would you turn that? Like, would you say no? That's what I'm saying.
And untouchable in the sense of unless you like. I see you're gonna have to make a Halliburton for a Sabonis like trade. Are you feeling? If you could do that, are you feeling so crazy that you need to do that?
Yeah, you're not rushing to do it, but yeah, if I had to guess, I would probably Franz Wagner would be somebody you prefer to keep.
I just don't think. So who do you think they have is untradeable? Because I don't think Isaac is untradeable. I think Isaac's untradeable. I think Wendell Carter is tradable.
Yeah, I think they just gave him that extension too.
I wouldn't be looking to trade Wagner. I'm really high on him.
Yeah,
and I'm really high on Suggs too, so I wouldn't be looking to trade him.
Yeah, listen.
Now Cole Anthony
and Fultz are basically the same value at this
point.
Fultz
is practically you trying to trade him.
Yeah, but apparently the Magic think that's their guy of the future over Cole, so they don't even like Cole. They like Fultz and Suggs more than they like Cole and Suggs. I would say probably Suggs because he's the highest drafted. I'm pretty sure of all these guys. Yeah. So Suggs will definitely be one, and then Franz Wagner, he showed the all rookie potential. I think he's definitely their guy. But yeah, Magic, bottom 5 in offense, bottom 5 in defense, pretty much across the board. Not a good team last year, worst team in the league arguably. But they heard number one overall with a chance to make a life-changing pick for them. All the players are on the board. Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Paolo seem to be the consensus guys for the number one overall pick. For me, for the number one overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft, my selection would be Jabari Smith from Auburn. He's the best overall player in the draft, I think. He may not have the highest potential just because of a little athleticism.
He can shoot, though.
He can shoot. Knockdown shooter. He can handle off the dribble. He can switch and play defense on the perimeter. He's got all the baseline overall skills. The only thing he's missing is kind of that upper tier athleticism, that standout trait. Like Chet has the crazy length. Paolo's got the man body already ready to go. Some guys have supreme athleticism. He's kind of just good at everything. He kind of just makes plays all over the court. He's got good size. He's 6'9", 6'10". He can immediately step in, play the 4 or the 5 for the Orlando Magic, and I think he could be their offensive centerpiece pretty much right away. He can run the pick and pops with Suggs and Fultz. He can get to the rim. He can operate on his own isolation, and he brings a defensive factor paired with Isaac that I think would be very, very big for them.
Yeah, all the reports and the betting odds say that he's probably going first overall.
Yeah.
I think I like Chet's fit in Orlando because of his prior relationships with Suggs.
And Orlando loves picking skinny bigs in the top half of the draft.
So I think he has a good chance to be it, but I think they can't really go wrong with either two of the top two, in my opinion. So I think him or Chet Holmgren will be the pick.
Yeah.
Barring a trade back. I just don't. This draft doesn't look good enough for team where it looks like teams are going to be looking to trade up.
I don't think there's a reason to go jump to get the number one overall pick when there will be plenty of guys who have that potential later on.
All right. So moving on to the next team, Oklahoma City, who we saw down by 80 at one point in this season.
Two picks in the lottery this year.
2 picks. Where's the first? The first one's second. So where's the second?
They're picking again at 12.
12. I think it's easy. I think they love to take high upside players.
Yeah, this is a no-doubter.
If Chet Holmgren's on the board, they'll take him. Mm-hmm. They have needs everywhere except for guard.
Yeah, because Giddey and Shea are going to be there. Definitely wing scorer. I think definitely is a need.
Because they have Shea, they got, like you said, Giddey. Mm-hmm. That looks like a nice combination.
Yeah, but like Bazley, he's more of a guy. You like Lou Dort. You like they have a couple of guys who are just guys.
They have that center whose name I cannot pronounce, who kind of looks like a poor man's version of
Alexei Pokusevski. You're talking about my man Alexei. Yeah, definitely. Alexei does fit the Chet Holmgren mold. He's more of a wing, I think, than a center. So I think Chet fits that center.
You could slide Chet to 4-5, and that guy could be your 3-4.
Yeah.
So I'll take Chet. I think it's that easy. I think Chet and Jabari will be going 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. Just a matter of order to find out. How do you feel about Chet Holmgren?
Yeah, obviously Chet Holmgren I think he's got easily the highest upside in the class of anybody. You saw like he's super tall, super long, fantastic instincts for such a young guy. He protects the rim at a high level. He can shoot the ball at a high level. He can get up and down the floor. He can even take you off the dribble a little bit if he's got a guy who's slow of foot on that side of the floor too. His only problem is that he's the most skinny man in the world.
The injury concerns are what I would say.
He's the skinniest guy. He might be the skinniest guy on planet Earth. Like, you really can't, how can you really find a skinnier human being than Chet Holmgren? I think it's tough.
He's a pretty skinny guy.
Yeah, so
he's going to need to get in that weight room. And
so you expect he's going to need a couple years before he gets into his grown man body and is able to produce at the level that his skill set dictates. But for the upside that you're getting, especially with Thunder, who don't need to win right away, they have a couple years. It's just a perfect plug and play fit.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we'll have more time to talk about the Thunder, so we can move on to who I think is actually the worst team from the league last year.
Yeah, the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets. Just a roster full of young guys and Eric Gordon. But outside of that, they don't really have any.
Do you think they'll be able to trade him sooner or later?
No, he's a
good asset.
He's been a good asset for years, and they still haven't made a move on. He was a good asset 4 years ago when they were trying to go to the finals.
But they were good then. They weren't going to trade him.
They ain't been good since.
He's been hurt.
Because that's Eric Gordon.
He was traded for Chris Paul.
I believe it or not. But yeah, Houston, they're just a roster full of young guys. I heard today Kenyon Martin Jr. wants to trade out because he's just gotten lost in the shuffle. Kenyon Martin Jr., Kenyon Martin's son. He's a backup wing on the Houston Rockets. They're just filled with backup level wings and lower level starting caliber young players.
They got the worst roster. After trading Christian Wood, they definitely have the worst roster.
Definitely, I would tend to agree. So Houston's got need all over the board. Obviously, they took Jalen Green at number 2 overall last year, so they're untouchable. He's their top player. He's going to be the guy they're building the franchise around. And with Chet, I would have loved Chet Holmgren here. I think him and Alperen Sengun would have been a dynamic fit together. Like, it would have been awesome. It would have been great to see. But unfortunately for Houston, y'all had y'all chance at y'all generational big last year, and you turned them away for Jalen Green. So you're stuck with Jalen Green and no Evan Mobley, and you won't be getting Chet Holmgren this year.
So they have to settle?
It's a tough pill to swallow. But I don't think this is a settle. This is my favorite player in the draft class. I'm going to give Houston Paolo Banchero from the Duke Blue Devils. I think he's the most NBA-ready player in the draft coming out. 6'10", 250. He's already got a man-sized body, and it's not sloppy weight. He's muscular. He's sturdy. He's well built. He's already got an advanced offensive game from the mid-range to the low post. He can operate in the pick and roll as the big or the ball handler. I think he's the best passer in the draft. He averaged the best passer. He averaged one of the highest assists per 100 possession rates in the college basketball last year as a dynamic ball handling number 1 option for that team. You can see it. He's got natural court vision. He's got the height to see all over the floor. It's absurd how good he is in terms of feel for the game and advanced offensive knowledge. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of like Melo with better passing. That's how I see him. Melo with better passing.
I already told you I like Julius Randle.
Yeah, Julius Randle's I think Julius Randle plays a more reckless game because he has to, because he doesn't have that advanced skill.
This guy's more skilled.
This guy's definitely more skilled. He obviously played at one of the highest levels in college basketball at Duke. They went really, really far in the tournament, really on him being one of the best players in the country. And I think at 19 years old, with the body that he already has ready to go, you can plug him right in. I think him and Jalen Green in the pick and roll together, pick and pop together, is going to be dynamic because you can't really switch it, and they're both capable shooters. So I think he's a good fit with their team. Obviously, I think with the Wood trade, he slots right in at that 4 spot next to Sengun. I think he's immediately their second option on offense, maybe even their first, depending on how he develops. And I think it's a home run pick for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah. I bet they wish they could have gotten into the top 2 or 3 to see who they really wanted, but the top 3 is good enough. Mm-hmm. They'll have to settle. So moving on to the Kings, who just they just live
in the top 5, in the inability to get the generational player range.
Well, no, they picked 2 lots of times in our lifetime. In a Luka Doncic draft. So we know what the Kings are. They're dysfunctional. Mm-hmm. They've got Davion Mitchell, I think, is one of their young guys that I like a lot. They've got Sabonis, who is a Nikola Jokic light. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really about it on their roster. That's
Box.
I think they're going to trade him. I don't see a future. I think they'll move on to Davion Mitchell. It just looks like that. They gave up Halliburton,
which was, I think, a massive mistake. He was their best guard. He was their dynamic playmaker. They should not have let him go. They will pay for that because I don't think Sabonis really puts them in the championship picture. So I don't know why you give up a guy like Halliburton for that, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
And while ideally you'd like to take a wing here, I just don't see the value in the fall off. So I think they've been stiff-arming and taking who I think is the second best player in the draft, Jaden Ivey.
Yeah.
And that's who I would take because I'm going to go best player available because De'Aaron Fox has actually plateaued into ways that I just didn't see coming when he came into the league. And Davion Mitchell, he looks like more of a Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday type of combo lead guard. So I think Jaden Ivey could be a 2-guard type, maybe kind of like Green in Houston with more dynamicism. And better shooting. Yeah. So I would take Jaden Ivey. I just think I'm taking best player available. Ideally, I think they would like to take a wing here because they're void of wing talent.
Yeah, I definitely understand why the Jaden Ivey would be a pick here. He's the best player available at this spot for them, but I gotta think they gotta be tired of taking undersized guards, right?
He's
6'4", and he's a 2. So you're not going to pay. He's not,
really explosive.
Yes, he is. He's definitely extremely explosive. He's got that lead guard ability.
He can shoot.
And if you trade De'Aaron Fox, I think you have to trade him. I think if you take Jaden Ivey, I think there's no fit for De'Aaron Fox on the roster.
Maybe try to get a mediocre wing.
Yeah, you could try that. They got the most mediocre wing in the league in Harrison Barnes, who's been out there carrying that position for them for 3-4 years now.
Him and Fox, and see if you can go get a Rudy Gobert, and then slide Sabonis back to 4. You just never know.
Yeah, if you're gonna take Jaden Ivey with the intention of trading De'Aaron Fox, I understand. If you don't have a deal for that, then I struggle for them taking Jaden Ivey here, but he's the best player available, super duper explosive. He'll be able to keep the Kings as a high athlete, running gun type of team. And he gives Mike Brown a lead guard into the future. So yeah, like I said, I think they desperately need a wing, but you got to take the best player available.
Yeah, this isn't a draft where the fall off is there. So yeah, it's tough, but yeah. So moving on to
the Detroit Pistons. Now, in my mock, I had the Pistons taking Jaden Ivey because I had a wing for the Kings.
You've only been begging for them to get rid of Corey Joseph
forever, and I think y'all see it on the podcast Twitter account that like, why are these guys still stuck with
Corey Joseph?
Corey Joseph running their offense at all times. Killian Hayes obviously was a massive bust for them. So the Pistons go a lot of different directions. Obviously, I think they're pretty set at the wing spot with Jeremy Grant and Cade Cunningham. Jeremy Grant probably won't be around too much longer. But
I've heard rumors about him to Miami.
Yeah.
Rumors about him to...
But like I told you about Jeremy Grant, he wants to go be...
Apparently he loves being the guy.
He loves being the guy. He wants to get his 20 shots up and average his 20 points and average 19 points a game on 40% shooting. That's what Jeremy Grant wants to do. So that's how I expect him to continue to play. So I think him and Cade will still be around for a while. They desperately need a big, but there's no bigs here available for them to even select. So I'm going to give him another wing. I'm going to give him Benedict Mathurin from Auburn. I think he's the most complete wing in the draft as far as like he can dribble, pass, shoot at a very good level. He's pretty well-rounded in all those skills. He's an excellent defender as well. He can play. He can be more of that off-ball type of player while Cade and Jeremy Grant are doing most of the creating. I would have loved Jaden Ivey here for them just because I feel like they still need a dynamic player at guard. They don't really have any shot creators at the guard position. Cade can play guard, so they can move him up and let Benedict go play the 3. And then I think at 2, 3, and 4, you've got great size and switchability. all three of those guys can be really good on defense as well. So yeah, Benedict Mathurin from Auburn, I think with his overall talent to be able to fill in all phases, play multiple positions, defend multiple positions. Without a guard here, I think he gives you the highest upside at the wing spot.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we're in that part of the draft where it's now you're gonna start throwing some darts at the board.
Definitely.
So moving on to a division rival of the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, who are coming off one of their most disappointing seasons
the Central Division
in a long time. I think the board kind of breaks right for them. They've got Halliburton, they've got Brogdon, who's on the trade market. I would actually look to keep him, but maybe see if Milwaukee might want him back.
Brogdon's been dealing with a lot of injuries, and he's got a $21 million cap hit.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
For a 50, 40, 90 player. That's why.
But he ain't been 50, 40, 90 in years.
It's been a while since he's been that guy. You're probably calling Milwaukee and like, hey, you want to bring back a player, maybe they'll accept that. But I think they have a glaring need at wing.
Yeah.
We also know that
TJ Warren's a free agent, and we ain't seen him. We haven't seen him since the bubble.
You talking about Bubble Warren?
TJ Warren is a free agent. Lance Stevenson, who was playing for them last year, lots of minutes. He's also a free agent. So yeah, they've got nothing at the wing spot that you can really name.
Those guys are irrelevant. But yeah, they've also got Miles Turner, who a lot of people are looking to get. Mm-hmm. And who else they got? Who they got at 4? Right now,
it's a bunch of random guys. They got Jalen Smith, O'Shea Brissett, Goga Bitadze. It's not a gauntlet worth of names.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna take who might be the most pro-ready player in this draft. I'm gonna take Keegan Murray from Iowa State, the wing. Basically because he's gonna fill in for T.J. Warren. He kind of actually plays like T.J. Warren.
Yeah,
surprisingly,
I think that would be his comp for sure.
So I'm gonna take him just because he's the best player available, and I think they have an older core. So if they want to move towards Halliburton and Miles Turner with Keegan, that could be a good way to build there. Guys who are all about the same age, except for Miles Turner, who's a little bit older, but a little bit older of a young core. So yeah. I'll take him just because he looks like the most ready to play. And I think they're not that far from competing. They were really hurt last year, so they can compete for play-in like that and stuff.
Yeah, I think Keegan Murray fills a massive hole. Massive hole at the wing spot. He's a guy one of those guys who can really get after it in transition, really get up and down the court. And that's going to be really huge with Tyrese Halliburton setting the table for everybody. He can create a little bit on his own. That's something that'll have to be developed a little bit more, but he does have in his game. And most importantly, what he'll bring defensively, because they don't have anybody to guard. Giannis is in that. KD, Jason Tatum. It's wing central in the Eastern Conference. Jimmy Butler. So to have a guy who has the size and wingspan and athleticism to kind of match those guys, kind of like Andrew Wiggins in the finals with Golden State, you just one. You need at least one to be able to go out there and do that. And if you don't have it, you're not going to be doing lots of winning. So I do like the Keegan Murray pick for him. I had Keegan Murray going to my team up next for the Blazers because they're also a team that desperately needs a win.
Does the age scare you? Are you thinking more Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, CJ McCollum, or are you thinking more Shabazz Muhammad?
I think a lot of that always depends on situation and coach. Rick Carlisle will probably be more willing to work with the older guy, an older prospect, someone who's going to play the game a little bit more polished as well. So I think that'll help with his development. And you look, Brogdon, Turner, Halliburton, those are all adult type of NBA players. Those aren't really guys who are out there fucking around, partying and all those types of things. They're out here being smart, disciplined basketball players.
Brogdon's from the NBA.
Exactly. So those guys being able to help uplift him and get him in a good situation. He'll be in Indiana. He'll be out of the way, out of the line of sight. Not a lot of pressure on him. So I don't think the age bothers me.
Okay. We can move on to Portland.
Yeah, Portland. They tanked out the season to fall to 8th. To get the 8th in the draft, you probably would like to. They probably 7. They probably would like to be a little bit higher, considering the shedding of talent they had.
They started so decently, I think.
Yeah, because they actually had Dame and CJ, and then Dame got hurt. CJ got traded. They also have a couple of massive free agents. Nurkic is a free agent this year. Simons is a free agent, so they've got to bring those guys back, or not, if they choose to go with the full tank job and try to get the top guy next year. So I think their needs kind of depend on what they do in free agency. But I think the draft is first, so that's where you figure out where you want the needs to be. Like I said, I had Keegan Murray as their as the pick here for them, but since Keegan Murray is off the board, I still think they definitely need a wing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the G League guy. I'm gonna go with Dyson Daniels from the G League Ignite. He's one of those. He's a wing size guy, 6'6", 6'7". He's got long arms.
But guard skills.
Guard skills. He could create for himself if you lose Simons, or if you just want. Because I don't think they want Simons and Lillard in the same backcourt again. I think
they want more of a Jordan Poole, Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Curry
So if Simons can be their sixth man, their ignition off the bench, so you don't have to play him and Dame together, then you can play Hart next to him, and then you can play Daniels, and so you'll have a couple of not taller guys, but bigger guards with size who can defend multiple positions.
They're so bad. They might be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, they're pretty bad too. But luckily they have Dame. So
do you think Dame gets traded this offseason? Well,
no.
We'll have time to talk.
Yeah, we'll have time to talk about that. But initial guess, no, Dame doesn't get traded. So yeah, I'll give him Dyson Daniels. He obviously he's played some NBA basketball with the G League, so he's gonna have a little bit more of an adult game. His game's pretty adult already. He's pretty much one of those field type of players. He's just gonna fill in and make the right play every time. And that's what Portland needs. They've got guys who could work in the ISO, who can shoot the ball from downtown. They've got those type of players. If they bring Nurkic back, they have their big. They need help on the wing in the wing spot. They need bigger guys who can defend on multiple positions. It's a guard-heavy league in the Western Conference, so more guys who can defend the Jaws, the Stephs, those type of guys would be helpful for them. So I'll give them Dyson Daniels from G League.
So I've got Portland at 8. Mm-hmm. Not Portland, New Orleans at 8, which is actually...
We don't have to talk about it.
Los Angeles Lakers pick. Wow. If the Lakers had this pick, there's definitely some nice players that would be plug and play.
Yeah. If the Lakers had this pick, they probably wouldn't be this high. So that's the thing, you got to talk about that as well.
So we've got some Duke guys left. Mm-hmm. I think it's around the time that we go there. I'm just debating on which one. So New Orleans, they've got Brandon Ingram. He's untouchable after what he showed in the playoffs. Definitely. Zion Williamson, I guess.
If we ever see him.
If he doesn't eat himself out of the league, he's one of the most dynamic players in the league, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. The addition of CJ McCollum he actually showed how good he really was for Portland by coming over to New Orleans, giving Phoenix a fight, or maybe Phoenix was really, really overrated.
That's how I feel.
They've got the guy from Puerto Rico,
Jose Alvarado, the thief.
The thief. He's known to come up and he's a pesky player. He's a Patrick Beverley type of player. I think he's got a long career ahead of him of being that pest type of guard defender. Mm-hmm. And they've also got Jackson Hayes, who I think I've always been a fan of, and he kind of started popping and showing those flashes last year.
Yeah, especially at the 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, terrible on defense with fouls.
Yeah,
but
he's young.
My problem here is I don't know if I want to take risks. I don't know if I want to take risk or go safe.
I think if you're the Pelicans, you were in the playoffs last year, you expect to have an even better roster this year. You're pretty massive on the front line with Ingram, Zion, and Valanciunas. Definitely needs some wing shooting because Herbert Jones, as good of a defender he is, he's a very inconsistent shooter. How long do you plan on sticking with CJ as the guy to play next to Brandon Ingram? Was he just someone to get you to the playoffs before you find your next guy? They got Devontae Graham running the point. He can't shoot worth a lick. He's one of the worst volume shooters in the league. Yeah. So you need more. They definitely need more spacing.
I'm going to take AJ Griffin.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm going to let you take away and go with the scouting report for AJ Griffin. But I just think the idea there is that you could slide CJ McCollum and up to point guard.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
Rotate him with Alvarez, and then when you have to in a pickle, play them together. Mm-hmm. But use this guy to be your future 2 guard next to with good length with Brandon Ingram. They have a Duke connection. Zion Williamson, another more Duke connection. Mm-hmm. That'll be your front line 2 to 4, and then you have Hayes. So I think that fills out all your spots. Yeah. And then you don't have to. You're not beholden to CJ McCollum because you have the next 2 guard, and then you can use Alvarez as your future point guard.
Definitely. I like the AJ Griffin pick here. It's going to be difficult on defense with CJ McCollum and AJ Griffin because while he's got great length, he's dealt with a lot of injuries. His feet have a hard time. He has a hard time moving his feet because he's had a lot of injuries.
The hope is Zion, Jackson Hayes, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, that can protect him on defense and knockdown shooter, arguably the best open shooter in the draft. He can shoot it off the dribble. He can shoot it when he's wide open. I think someone who can slot right into their starting lineup and just be a floor spacer would be excellent for them. Obviously, Herb Jones was kind of that guy last year, but he's just filling in because Zion's not there. If you plug in Zion, you're going to need another knockdown shooter out there. Right. I think he definitely fits that role. Obviously, his defensive ask will probably be more than what you're asking for him as for a guy to be in your starting lineup, because you're not going to ask Ingram to be the primary wing defender. You're not going to ask Zion to do it. Come on, CJ. So yeah, he's going to probably have to take on a bigger defensive role and improve in that area. But as far as like what his skill set does for their team, I think that there isn't a better fit for them.
Ideally, you hope he has a Cam Johnson type of ascension.
He's got all the physical tools in terms of length and size to be able to defend.
And people thought Cam Johnson, coming out, people thought Cam Johnson wouldn't be able to defend it. He's actually become, because he shoots so well, just being decent on defense is good enough for him.
Definitely. And then Cam Johnson, who's coached by Monty Williams, Willie Green coming from the Monty Williams tree, probably would prefer a guy like that. Seems like he would value that position as well. All right, who do we got up next? The Spurs.
Who are starting to live.
Who are not a regular lottery team.
And they're in the worst part of it.
but this is when the Spurs cash in the most. Right in that 9 to 12 range, looking for their raw wing.
Only when they're giving up George Hill.
Looking for their raw wing to develop into their top guy. We know how the Spurs are. They could go a couple of different options here. Shaedon Sharpe would be my top choice here, just because I think
he's the best player on the board.
He's the best player on the board. He's super talented. The Spurs probably need another shot creator, but I don't think he's a Spurs pick. So I'm going to go with Jeremy Sochan from Baylor. 6'9" defensive menace. He could guard 2 through 5. Spurs pick. Typical Spurs pick. He's going to give you the effort. He's going to give you the toughness. He's not going to be a guy who's going to want the basketball, demand the basketball a lot. But Popovich is going to put him in a system where he can just go develop his game. They've been relying on Keldon Johnson and Lonnie Walker. And
they thought
those are fine guys.
They can't play. They're not good on offense.
They're not good on offense though. The Spurs definitely going to need some more wing help, and especially defensively, because Johnson really isn't a great defender with his lack of athleticism, and they're smaller elsewhere. Doug McDermott, they don't have.
That's where he.
they don't have really any true size and athleticism and speed on the wing spot, and I think with his raw athleticism and upside, Popovich will develop him right in his scheme to turn him into a serviceable offensive player down the road. So I'll take Jeremy Sochan from Baylor to the San Antonio Spurs. Typical Spurs pick.
I'm happy because I thought you were going to go with the pick that I was going to go with. I'm going to go with a typical Washington Wizards pick.
European. He must be European.
I'm taking Usman Dieng. Is it Dang or just Dieng?
I don't know.
The tall kid from New Zealand who's really raw but really long, has lots of potential. Compares route to Rui, Denny. He's not as skillful as those guys, but he's better on defense than those guys. I'm gonna let you take away the scouting report for that, but I just think it just fits what the Wizards have been searching for. They're just looking for length, size, and athleticism. It seems like they've been looking for it for like a decade now.
Yeah, it's a typical Wizards pick. If you were thinking about what will the Wizards do, they're probably going to draft a wing, because they've been trying to find a wing forever. Like you said, they got Rui, they got Denny, they got Porzingis back there now. He plays kind of a wing role. He's not really a traditional big.
He can't move as much anymore.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not super familiar with him. I really was more looking at the American guys than the New Zealand guy. But yeah, obviously size, length, athleticism.
You're going to rely on your ability to develop this.
Yeah, you're gonna rely on your scouting department. You're gonna rely on your player development staff to be able to make him into a better player. Now, it hasn't really worked out with Rui. We'll see what it does with Denny. So do they really want to
work out with Jan Nestle?
Yeah, exactly. So the Wizards have been struggling to find this Otto Porter. So the Wizards have been struggling to find this type of player. I think they need to find a point guard for sure. They have no point guard.
They really don't have anything on their team.
Yeah, outside of Beal, and I like their bigs. I do like their bigs. I think you could have. I like Thomas Bryant. I like Daniel Gafford.
I don't like those guys. You like those? You like those guys to be on a championship?
No. But you're not going to pick your championship player at 10th in the lottery.
Paul George.
Where's his championship? You got one? Championship?
Kobe Bryant? Giannis? You can get these guys. You can get these type of players.
You can't find them. The Wizards don't find those type of players. So yeah, but I do like the Wizards. European wing definitely fits what what they like to do. It helps them overcome it might help them overcome their smaller guards and their smaller bigs, giving them some wings in a very wing strong conference in the East with all those wings I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I can definitely understand why you would make the pick here for the Wizards with you say, give me his name one more time. Dang.
Usman Dang.
Usman Dang.
And if we butchered that, hey bro, if you become famous, nobody will butcher your name no more.
All right, so we're
leaving the top 10.
Yep, outside of the top 10, we are moving on to the New York Knicks, where Isaiah once again stole my ideal draft pick here, and Mr. AJ Griffin. I thought AJ Griffin would have been the perfect pick for them because they had no shooting whatsoever. Although they were ironically 15th in 3-point shooting. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how it happened, but that's just how it worked out for them. I gotta give him Shaedon Sharpe. This is where the Shaedon Sharpe fall stops. It has to stop right here.
Kevin Knox part 2?
It could be, but they lack a perimeter shot creator. You're like Emmanuel quickly. He kind of takes too many floaters, contested floaters.
Jordan Poole,
Jordan
Clarkson,
Clarkson, six man coming off the bench, spark plug. He's not really someone you want to be your dynamic ball shot creator. I think Shaedon Sharpe would step right in and be the best shot creator on the Knicks right away. Okay. Julius Randle, you don't imagine him being around too much longer, but he can be this top option while you wait for Shaedon to come into his own, because obviously Shaedon didn't play. His last time he played was in high school, so we're gonna see how all that athleticism and bounce translates to the NBA level. But I think him being RJ Barrett would be a really, really dynamic 1-2 punch for the future as guys who can go out there and create on their own and play make on their own. It'll give the Knicks some of the best individual shot creation they've had since Carmelo was there, and in the last 50 years, if we're gonna be completely honest with you, outside of Melo, they really haven't had a whole lot. We're talking about
the Knicks,
Raymond Felton and Gallinari, and exactly. We're talking about the Knicks. So, and then shooting. Shaedon Sharpe provides shooting off the bounce. He can do it on the catch and shoot as well. The Knicks need someone to space the floor with Randall mucking up the paint, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, improved 3-point shooter, but not someone who's going to really show you a bunch of gravity and threat. And then nobody on their guard. Evan Fournier you like, but I think Shaedon Sharpe is an upgrade over that guy in terms of being able to create for himself. And Evan Fournier could fall into more of a spot-up shooter, bench role anyway. So I'll give him Shaedon Sharpe. Can't believe he fell this far, but him getting
still in the lottery.
Yeah, but him getting to go get into the Garden with a roster that's already was borderline playoff caliber 2 years ago, and hopefully Tibbs can help him improve in his defense, give him a defensive mentality.
Okay. So now we're moving on back to Oklahoma City's second pick, a team that still needs everything technically except for guard play.
Yeah.
I think right here. So who did you took? Chet. We took Chet.
Yeah, we gave him Chet.
I like Chet as a 4, so I'm just gonna go ahead here and take Mark Williams from Duke.
Damn. You just want to make a massive... I'm sick of you taking Mark Williams, dog. I'm mad about that.
Because I looked at the next pick and I was like, man, I know what Charlotte really can do.
You know what Charlotte's going to do.
So I'm just going to take Mark Williams, and that way you don't have to... Mark Williams has more of that bigger body, more physical, and I think Chet will be better. You're going to have to bring him along really, really slow.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to start him at 4, let him develop some type of muscle if it's possible. But I think Chet's also a better rotation shot blocker. So definitely. I think you're going to want... That's going to be your front court for the next 10 years if you hit it out the park. Anything else to say about Mark Williams?
I love Mark Williams. He's my favorite center in the draft. I know some people like the guy from Memphis, Jalen Duran, but Mark Williams, just the physical size, the ability to go out there and handle the rim. It'll look like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley in Cleveland. Just mountains of a front court. Maybe, I don't know if Mark Williams' athleticism really allows him to be a full-time starter.
You're open Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren, and Lou Dort.
You're just going to be so big. You're just going to be so tall, so long, so massive. It's going to be like, I don't know how you handle it.
And they won't have a single player obviously in the lineup.
You can limit Mark's minutes and let Chet go play 5 and bring in your next guy as well. So you have multiple options to be able to run your team, but your team will be big. It'll be strong defensively, which OKC was last year. They were actually a top half of the league.
And they were down by 80.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see the way they built their roster with a bunch of tall, long, athletic guys. Adding Mark Williams there as a true anchor in the paint for bigger guys in the post, I think would be a good fit to keep Chet from having to do that early in his career.
Definitely.
I know the Charlotte Hornets fans got to be heartbroken.
I was looking at that. I thought I was picking Charlotte. I was like, I'm going to take Mark Williams. And I was like, oh, no, I'm actually picking OKC. So
I know the Charlotte Hornets got to be heartbroken. Obviously, they've needed a big in the worst way for a long time.
They're still relying on
Mason
Zeller.
Plumlee.
And Zeller. And Cody Zeller.
Yeah, so their bigs are really nothing to be excited about. They've got a bunch on the wings and guard. They're just filled with that. Now
you think they keep in... How do we feel about them and Bridges? Because he is a free agent.
I think they're going to do what it takes to keep Bridges. So we'll see Maybe even taking on a Russell Westbrook expiring deal to do it. We'll see. Maybe. But yeah, I don't expect Terry Rozier or Gordon Hayward to be on the roster next year. Okay. I would be surprised if both of them are. I'd be stunned if at least one of them weren't on there. So
I think there's a good pick here though. There's one top player left available.
There's a few guys. I had Mark Williams as the easy plug and play here for them. I'm shocked he's off the board, so I'm trying to figure out. I like Johnny Davis from Wisconsin to give him another shot creator. I like Dalen Terry as another wing guy with super duper athleticism. But I think they need another wing, another bigger wing, because I think Gordon Hayward's going to be gone, and I think they need help on that side. So I'm going to give him Terry Eason. I think he's from Iowa.
LSU.
Yeah. He's a super duper defender. The best, probably the best. People think he's the best.
They suck on defense.
Pretty bad on defense. So to give him arguably the best perimeter defender in the draft, somebody who could go out there and guard 2 through 4 and be able to, once again, in the Eastern Conference, with all those wings you have to deal with, they need help. Miles Bridges needs help specifically to be able to go and defend those guys.
He'll also be moving towards probably being their leading wing scorer.
Yeah, so exactly. So you don't want him being the number one guy the entire time. Rozier's too small to do it. Gordon Hayward's too old to do it. You give him a guy right here who can go run and gun, play in the pace and space that they're going to play in, guard, switch for them as well. And again, on the offensive game, it's not bad. It's not a bad offensive game. He's just so good on defense, like a Matisse Thybulle level type.
Dort.
So good on defense that you don't even realize that, hey, he's got offensive game that can help too. Yeah, offensive game that can help too. LaMelo can spoon feed him buckets whenever he needs, whenever they want to get him involved, and you can develop him. Yeah. So, especially if Mike D'Antoni's there, he'll be able to just plug right in as the wing, go fill the wing, go spot up in the corner, and just do that until we can develop your offensive game. Yeah. So yeah, I like Terry Eason here from LSU.
All right, so that's it for the lottery.
Well, there's one more, isn't it? Cleveland. It goes to 14, right?
Oh, that was 13?
That was 13.
Oh,
Cleveland's 14.
Okay, that's easy. I'm going to take Johnny Davis to Cleveland because I thought you were going to take him.
Yeah, but that makes the most sense.
Another guard forward type scorer. I don't know if they're probably going to. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Sexton. He's just been hanging around.
I think Sexton's a free agent. He's going to be gone.
That's an asset you just let out the door. And he's actually a good player. They've got. What's their guard's name right now? I can't.
He was talking about Darius Garland.
So they've got Garland. He's their point guard. Karis LeVert is good, but he kind of like tailed off recently.
Yeah, the injuries had cancer, so the man was out here fighting cancer. It's tough to bounce back from these types of things.
That is truthful. Who else do they have?
Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade.
It's terrible.
It's not a good wing list.
Take Johnny Davis at this point in the draft. You just hope that maybe he is more talented and you could develop into something better. Yeah. But ideally, he's just going to be your 3-and-D plug-in player.
But I think Johnny Davis also has creation game, too. He's a really good creator. I think he's given him a bigger shot creator than Garland, so Garland doesn't have to do all the time. I think he takes Karis LeVert's job. I think that's what we're saying here.
Like Karis LeVert to a 6-man bench role.
Pretty much, because Karis LeVert, the fit didn't look amazing with them.
He's heavy ice.
He needs the ball in his hands more often. Johnny Davis is a little bit better shooter right away coming out. Fits better next to Darius Garland, and he defends a lot better.
Yes,
defends a lot better. So I think Johnny Davis is a perfect.
Yeah, I thought for sure you were taking him for Charlotte, but I thought those two players were the last two players I had that I was like, they'll definitely not make it out of this mock. So now that we're officially out of the lottery, oh man, Cleveland was in the lottery. Yeah, they should have been in the playoffs.
Cleveland and the Hornets were trying their best. It's tough.
Cleveland actually finished in the playoffs, like Oklahoma, like Golden State
last year.
Yeah. Any big time dead trades that we see happening on Thursday night? For the first one, do you think anybody is trading up? We hear the rumors that the Knicks want to trade up. Yeah. We hear the rumors that the Pistons, the Suns are willing to trade players to trade up. Yeah. Do you see anything coming to fruition?
Yeah. I think because the lack of free agency money available this year, so it's like I think it's the Pistons, the Pacers. I think the Knicks are going to try to clear cap space. It's not a strong list of teams with cap dollars to be able to go shot at some of these free agents. So you're probably expecting a lot of trades to happen, a lot of re-signings. So I think that'll probably be most of the outside the top 3 picks. I think those guys are going to stand pat and get it done. But once starting with the Kings at 4, I definitely think we can see a trade, maybe even 4-star type of player.
So the stars that come to mind are Damian Lillard in Portland. Yeah. Bradley Beal in Washington. Recently, DeAndre Ayton, who was a restricted free agent type in Phoenix. Anybody else you could think of? Those are the 3 names that I think of right away.
I mean, we got to talk about Kyrie. We got to talk about Russ. Those are 2 guys who are on trade blocks no matter what they want to be.
James Harden?
If Philly want to, it's just like just what assets do Philly have left for giving them Maxey to get off James Harden? Like I gotta see what they're gonna really try to do to do that. 'Cause I don't know who's gonna be backing for James Harden.
Looking into the finals, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins could be turned into an asset definitely.
Maybe some of the young guys they have, a Kuminga or Moody already, or Wiseman who just hasn't played, or somebody on Boston. Maybe Boston thinks they need something else, so they make a trade. Which star player do you think? Which two? Let's go three. Which two? Let's just go two. Which two star players do you think have the highest possibility of being traded tomorrow on Thursday night?
I'm gonna go first with Bradley Beal.
I'm gonna agree with that one.
Because Bradley, he said he's already made his decision. Obviously, his option date is coming up this week, so he's gonna have to make a decision about what he's gonna do with that. And the Wizards aren't really in a position where they can say no. Like they tried with the Porzingis thing. If Beal doesn't want to be there, if he's not about to sign the Supermax, then obviously that tells the Wizards everything they need to know. It's time to get rid of him. You can get him you could get more picks in this draft to be able to add to your young cachet of guys. Try to build around Porzingis and see, and then maybe you could try to flip all those assets you can into another guy. So I'll definitely say Bradley Beal. I don't think Dame gets traded. I think the Blazers are going to delusionally try to hang on to him and see what they can do with that. I think the Kyrie and Russ, I think definitely don't get traded either. Who would be a good number two? I definitely think the Wiggins one could be up for consideration. The Wiggins one is sneaky because the Warriors obviously have two guys sitting back waiting in the wings to go take that spot. Wiggins, you've won the title. Do you want to extend him? Like, they have the highest payroll in the league. I don't know how much they really want to keep shouting out to Andrew Wiggins.
They've had it for like 6 years now.
Who's going to keep progress stopping their team? So if I had to guess another next tier player to go get traded, I would say maybe like Andrew Wiggins type.
All right, I definitely agree with Bradley Beal. I think this is the final destination. Mm-hmm. They've reached it. Now they could try to play him with Porzingis to see how that works. Yeah, but that would be so risky. But I think they finally let that go. But I'm going to cop out and say one of the players in Utah. Yeah, I think one of the players in Utah gets traded on Thursday night. But other than that, anything else to go? You ready for the draft?
As excited as you can be, my team doesn't have any picks. Maybe we find something in the second. But I think all the top three, maybe even the top four players, all have all-star caliber potential. So I think
say that every year.
You could say that every year, but like legit this year, I think these top four guys all could be all-stars. Probably the guy who goes to the Kings won't be, because that's just how the Kings work.
Because I look at Jabari Smith reminds me of, I don't know. His comparison's harder.
He's weird. He's kind of like that. I think he's Mobley of last year. That's really what he looks like to me. Kind of like just like do it all type of big.
The athleticism scares me. But Chet looks like Kristaps Porzingis, who was a former All-Star. Jaden Ivey looks like explosive combo guard.
That's why I saw Dwayne Wade.
So yeah, that's that. And then I can never pronounce the
Paolo.
He looks like Julius Randle. All these guys could be all-stars in the right situation. I also agree with that. But.
Yeah, and obviously we're only going to do to the lottery here. So much more that the draft will have on Thursday, and we're all excited to see it.
Definitely. Lastly, anybody you think surprisingly falls further than expected?
I think we saw it in the mock today. Shaedon Sharpe from he was supposed to play at Kentucky last year. Obviously, I think injury or something, some weird issue happened that he wasn't able to play. I think he tried to reclass or something. But as far as talent goes, he's a top 5 pick in the draft class, I think, with his ability to create off the dribble, his athleticism. He reminds me a lot of Jalen Green from last year, and Jalen Green went 2. So I think he's one of those guys where he could go in the top 4, or he could fall out of the top 10 like he did in our mock. He can go anywhere in between.
Okay. I'm going to go with Paolo because I've just been hearing murmurings and rumors.
And that'll wrap up our 2022 NBA mock draft. Draft this Thursday. Please, as I say always says,
like, comment, subscribe, share, interact on socials. Moody already plugged them throughout the video.
At All We Do Is Talk on Twitter. At All We Do Is Talk on Instagram. We're here for much more content coming up throughout the summer.